Hi, I'm Charles with AniCap. This is part 1 of my recap for the anime RAK5HA5A STR33T. The story begins as we see a girl named Zaya being lectured about the complexities of the world by a stranger. His name is Gaifu, a fortune teller offering to tell her future, but she declines, explaining she doesn't believe in such things. She is in an accident and the motorist explains how it has gotten all dirty. Zaya says it's okay since she can just make a copy of her documents, but the man reveals he was talking about his food. He demands reimbursement and Zaya wants to blame the fortune teller, but he is long gone. He continues his demand for payment and she wished that he would be more of a gentleman. She is undeniably at fault for crossing at the wrong time, so she pays him. Zaya would go on with her day, going on several interviews, but they go poorly as her responses are bland and generic. When alone, she tries to cheer herself up by claiming that they all must have been jealous of her heavenly beauty. A couple interviewers enter the restroom and she must listen as they mock all the boring students that likely have no future. That night, she feels terrible but instantly cheers up when she gets a message for what she believes is another shot at an interview. She arrives to the strange destination called RAK5HA5A Street and enters, but doesn't notice that she passes through some type of force field. She can't believe that a company would be located in such a creepy place when she finally comes to the realization that a company wouldn't have an interview so late at night. She concludes that it must actually be human traffickers or organ traders and decides to go home. Unfortunately, Zaya is completely lost and her phone has no signal. She encounters an oddly dressed person and wonders if she has stumbled onto a movie set. Before long, more appear and she understands now that she will probably not survive. Elsewhere, the motorist's name is revealed to be Yanchao. His brother Liang brings to his attention nearby sounds and Yanchao decides it's time to finish off some ghosts. Zaya cries for help as she is attacked and soon has her pleas answered. The two brothers arrive to find that there are more ghosts than usual, and Liang reminds his brother to not get too excited or he might end up hurting the girl. Yanchao understands well and begins his assault on the ghosts. Liang explains to Zaya that she has entered the gate of hell and that it is a forbidden place for humans. It is one of what is called a Requiem Street, a place for holding spirits of the dead and connecting the spirit realm with the human world. Each Requiem Street has a Requiem General and Yanchao is the general of RAK5HA5A Street. Yanchao makes his presence known to the attackers and Zaya is shocked when she recognizes his voice. He can't believe she is causing him trouble once again and she just calls him a lousy delivery man. Their argument must pause for a moment though as a ghost with the ability to speak arrives and explains that their group's goal is to take over RAK5HA5A Street. This doesn't go over well with the brothers and Yanchao explains that the Requiem Generals are chosen by the spirit realm. Their sole purpose is to stop the dead from entering the human world. Furthermore, of all the Requiem Streets, RAK5HA5A is the most dangerous since it has the most evil spirits. The fight proves to be more difficult than Yanchao had anticipated when the spirit takes control of the fight. However, Yanchao releases a burst of flames from his weapon, gaining a more advantageous position to deal a violent blow. The spirit isn't finished though and displays some power of its own. Its python arm is used in many ways to land several blows, and the spirit mocks Yanchao's weak flames. He believes that he has broken all of Yanchao's bones and claims victory over RAK5HA5A Street. He turns his attention to the girl and the child, but Yanchao stops him. He wants to explain to the ghost why the spirit realm chooses humans as the Requiem Generals. He acknowledges that evil spirits are strong, but that when a human and a dead spirit form a contract, they create an even stronger power. People like him are called rare soul users, and they have guardian spirits. He has lost his patience with the evil spirit and calls on his guardian Zucho. With one command, the leader is destroyed and Zucho is insulted that someone would offend his master. Clearly no other spirit wants to end up like the general, and Yanchao makes it clear that RAK5HA5A Street is his turf. We then get a glimpse into the past as Yanchao waits for his brother to be born. His parents discuss how the newborn doesn't have any guardian spirit or psychic powers, and wonders if it will mean he can live an ordinary life. Yanchao's father was the Requiem General before him and explains that there are many spirits there. In order to stop them from being trapped in the darkness and becoming evil spirits, the general must keep the place peaceful. Yanchao wants to know why they do it, and his father explains it is because their family has done it for several generations and it is their home. One night, his parents are called away by the constable but do not return for several days. Yanchao is left to care for his brother and assures him that their parents will return home. One day, a man arrives and is left to take over RAK5HA5A Street as the new Requiem General. Yanchao refuses to believe it, so the man calls upon his guardian spirit and commands to throw Yanchao off the hill. The guardian realizes that the boy is actually a soul user and figures that General Chao must have been his father. Yancho is glad to hear the man knows of his father, but he reveals that the last he heard they simply left RAK5HA Street and disappeared. Yancho explains that his father would never abandon his responsibility towards RAK5HA Street, but the man points out he has, the same way he abandoned his son. Yancho knows that isn't true, but is interrupted by his crying brother. The man plans to capture them both, hoping to receive a reward for turning in 2 soul users to Gaifu. The guardian explains that the infant has no psychic power, so the man deems him useless, and commands that he throw him out of RAK5HA Street. He tells Yancho to be grateful for his own unawakened guardian, since it is the only reason he has any value, and won't be tossed out as well. The two then take Liang as they introduce themselves to the residents. His demonstration of his rule is brutal, and the spirit guardian warns that it may result in evil spirits to be formed, but he doesn't care. Yancho desperately tries to escape as we watch the moment Liang is about to be thrown out. However, in that moment, Yancho arrives and the man can't understand how he escaped. He turns to find the house engulfed in flames, and Yancho explains that he promised his father that he would always protect his brother. The man explains that they will not survive in the human world, and that Yancho should stay to develop his skills as a soul user. He would have to abandon his brother, but Yancho may one day be able to become a Requiem General. However, Yancho leaves anyway and reassures Liang that they will never be apart again because they are brothers. Back to the present, Zaya wakes up and is relieved to see that she was just dreaming. However, that feeling disappears when she sees the 2 brothers again. She is confused, and Yancho explains that Requiem Streets are transitional areas between the world and spirit realm. Spirits without salvation will have to stay there. He calms her by telling her she hasn't died, but reveals that he must now erase her memories since the barrier didn't do it like it's supposed to. He assures her though that he will try his best to not cause brain damage. If she were a soul user, he wouldn't have to perform the procedure, but he doesn't sense any psychic powers from her. They find the card she received from the fortune teller and recognize the message she was sent as a psychic message from Gaifu. Humans aren't able to read those messages, and she must explain that the fortune teller was the stranger that caused their accident. As Yancho takes Zaya home, he explains that RAK5HA Street was once only 1 street, but due to growing population and several wars, the number of spirits increased. Furthermore, constables are the ones that decide who will pass on to the spirit world, but some spirits become impatient and turn into evil spirits. To better control the process, thousands of Requiem Streets with entrances scattered around the world were created. He then calls on Zucho to introduce himself and explains that guardian spirits can either be born with or achieved through hard work. Once a soul user reaches a certain level, the spirit realm will send a messenger to convince them to become a Requiem General. Furthermore, there are rankings based on the strength of a soul user and their spirit guardian, but Yancho couldn't care less about that as long as he is able to defeat any enemy. The closer to the edge of the area, the more evil spirits there are, so they must force their way out. They manage to escape danger, but only to find themselves tumbling at full speed. Her concerns are relieved though when they get out and finally arrive home. However, Yancho reveals the ride wasn't free and she must pay up. She assumes Gaifu must be a Requiem Guardian as well, but he is not. He was sent to the human world by the constables with the job of finding powerful soul users. Zaya can't believe he would be talking about her, but she manages to read a message written with psychic power that only high-level soul users can see. Regardless of all that, Yancho tells her to stay away from RAK5HA Street since he doesn't want anything to do with Gaifu. She doesn't understand since they work for the same side and wonders if they are competing for a higher position. Yancho says he is exactly where he wants to be, and all that matters is that everyone knows RAK5HA Street is his turf. We then see as Gaifu watches Yancho and can only sigh when he sees that he is as stubborn as ever. Thank you for watching part 1. If this video gets 10,000 likes, I will know you like the anime and we'll make a part 2.